I'd like to share a little more of the specifics of Seeds of Hope, and then we'll give you an opportunity if you have questions that we'll try to address those questions.
Te teme hara tātou I roto I te tahuahua a, I te prau no tēnei huero, no te tiai turu, no te hora tua no patifita atia.
Our field is the only apostolic field, along with South Central Asia, that is participating in the Seeds of Hope.
I roto I te nei tua tawenir a, no patifita atia, ti roto hoa I te wheruri amuir a, whaatupur ai te tei whanhor a, no te e tua pu tawenir a, no te e tua no patifita atia.
In the Bridge of Hope, each apostolic field was given the decision to address the needs according to the needs of their own field.
No te e tua tawenir a, te e tua I wherurihia, no te huero, no te tiai turu, no te pahonor a Hawaii te mohia ai, e vainei I roto I te pu tawenira.
I'm blessed that in our field, our apostle saw an option, an alternative.
I roto I te e, mohamai te e atohia te e whanhor a, no te mea, tō tātou o te toro e whāterene I te e tua, wa wheruri pohonu o I roto I te e nei whanhor.
She saw an opportunity
E o I te hea, te waira te tei whanora, I roto I te e opuara a, no te e huero, no te tiaitu.
And so we developed a plan that no other field chose to follow.
Wa wherurihia, wa whanhohia te tei opuara a, e aita te huru wheruri ai roto I te tei mopuera a, tuhua tawenira.
We believed in the spirit of generosity that is so prevalent in the Pacific Asia field.
Te tiatori nei mātou I trawarua horoa, mahora, e vai nei roto I te tuhua no patifita nei.
The Bridge of Hope is about taking care of the past.
Te prau no te huero, no te tiaituru, o te tiaturi ato o ia I roto I te tei, tiaturi a I mairi, te vai I roto I te I opuara a e hara nei.
And it's our responsibility to do that.
E tra tiaturi a, no te e tua hoa te rirei roto I tātātou o hipatawenira.
The Bridge of Hope is concluded and it has taken, but it has not laid anything for the future.
Ei te tātou nin he hare nua e whanho ma te hio ore te mo uhipai tupu mai. E tera, nā roto I te ria, o hapi mai, nā whea nin he e whanho I te tei whanhor a no te mo tau muri nei.
And we felt, let's not miss out on a wonderful opportunity.
E wo I te hia, wo whare I hia, I te tei whanhor a I te tiai turu no te e mo tau muri nei.
Our field team met with the presidency and the presiding bishopric and shared with them this idea that we wanted to explore.
Wa powohia te e whanhor ai mo I peretenir a matamua, e wa horo mai taratou turur a yanin hei whahohonu hi atua I wheruri mai ter a no te e nei opuara.
We assured them that our first priority was to meet our responsibility.
Te whamata roa I tuhi e mua I a rātou roto I te e, te tūr ai e I te e tu a tamini a, I roto I tā rātou ho hipa, I roto I te hipa tamini a.
But we said we feel like the generosity in our field exceeds that responsibility.
E tā rātou o hipa tamini a, nā roto I e te iter a rātou, I trawarua ho e I roto I te horoara. Nā whea, nen he ai, ia ho e I roto I te horoara.
And we ask permission to explore generosity and true capacity by following the inspired counsel of the president of the church.
E roto I te ie, me tia I whaarahia, ia whanhohia, ia I te noa te pereteni a matamua, I te tere a, e te tahuahua a o te mo uhipa ato e rawahia, I roto I tēne opua a e whamaine.
And when we shared with them, it was kind of like the young rabbi and two old rabbis talking to Zev. We smiled.
E au ai e mi te ie mo puer a e ue, whainene noa I roto I te tei whanahora, waira hoa te papu ore a I roto I te tei whanahora, me e tia rai o I mua ma te papu, e te hior a e te mate mata ata ata, e opuar a tia turi hohonuhia te ie, e tupu wao.
And they smiled too.
E te atanoara, e mua I te ie, pereteni rā matamua, e hiono mai ra hoa, ia ha maramara mahi o pai rato I te opuara, hiono mai ra a, pua tāto o mai rato.
And they asked some very good questions.
E wa ui mai te teimo wira a hohonu, e mai tai roa.
And in the end, they said you have permission to explore that.
E popora mai te horo atu nei mātou I tā mātou nei hamai tei a ia wha, ia rawe mai te hia teri o hipa nā roto I te paari.
They did not say anything, but I think they did not think that we would be successful.
Ai katoa rātou I prau I te teimo prau e riro e manuia hoa, e nei roto I te ria. Mohoro rai te tiaturi a, I roto I mātou, trapa ia pupu iti, I whiruri mai te I whanhora, horo mai tā rātou ha mai te ra, ia rawa I te I whanhora.
So this is what we shared with them.
E te I e te mea, o tā mātou, naro nei, naro ro nei, wautu mo I tātou, te piti o te tua tā tātou ia I te mai tētai.
The Seeds of Hope has two parts.
Te prau no te huero o te tiaturi a, o te tiai turu a, e piti tuho ai vai rei roto ia.
It has responsibility
Tā tātou uhipa tāwini a, e uhipa te rira nā tātou,
and it has opportunity.
e te waira, te prau no te whanaora a, I roto I te motau murini.
Our responsibility was our target in the Bridge of Hope.
Te prau no tā tātou nei uhipa, tāwini a,
But our opportunity was the surplus that might come that we might be able to invest in the future of the Pacific Asia field.
Te prau no tā tātou uhipa tāwini a, e tua hoa te rire matarono hi e tātou. I roto rai te I opuar a, e riro wai, e whanaora no tātou, te ria tātou I te tuatapapara a hohonu I ni hoi te ria.
We explained to them that unlike the other fields, we would not be using a target or assessment model, but a true capacity model.
Te ie prau no tēnei opuar a, ai te whanhor a hoti no. Ai te whanhor a hoti noa te weinei. Ti roto rā tātou I te tei poe whanhor a, mi ti tau hia ia tātou, ia hio amui e ia whanhor amui. Ai te pai hoe whanhor a woti ena ona.
Unlike the other fields, we felt that the assessment model, which says this congregation will give this much, this congregation will give this much, this mission center will give this much, an amount defined for every congregation and mission center, was not the strategy that we felt was appropriate for the Pacific Asia field.
I roto I te hoe hohoa, o ti ena, pua wotia te tanumera harahia. Woti te prau no te oe, tra pumitioni, tra ta oe tua. Tra pumitioni, te ria ta oe tua. Nari atu, nari atu, nari atu.
In the United States where I live, I'm a member of the Austin congregation, and our mission center informed us this is how much the Austin congregation owes to Bridge of Hope.
I roto I te ie amui a tō mātou I Austin, Te veira te tei whanhor a no te e opuar a te aturir a ta tātou I ora mai e aturu no te paturur ai to tātou mo whea whātua ahia. Boa whaoti te tei whaoti rā, trāta mātou tua e boa tui roto I te ie no te tauturura.
We felt we could not tell you or anyone else how much you should give.
Ai te whaanghor a mitra no tātou, no oto. I te proud a o e trata o e tua, o e trata o e whaanghora, horo mai tāua. Ene te ria turu, e te barua e wainei roto I te aturira.
We felt that that was not in alignment with the counsel the prophet had given to the church that we should give according to our true capacity.
Te poroi e wainei, mirato mai whāterer a o te tareti e roto o I pretenir a mātāmua. Te poroi e wainei, te horoar aia mā tō varua e tō puai, hopero, te ria te varua hina arohia nei. Te aura e whahohi arahoa I roto I te tātata I tei, nāna e rawai te whaotira I tāna horoara.
We met with the officers of all of the mission centers in the field over many months to discern and discuss what our seeds of hope should look like.
Wa praprau hohonu mātou I te e tumupara. I roto I mo tamini hapone prau no te mau fofu a I roto I te ria pūmitioni e te ria pūmitioni e hamau te whanhor a tano roa nenhei atu I roto I te ie opuara.
And the consensus of all of our leaders is that we should use a true capacity model and not a target model.
Wa hoe te mana o I te harer ae e whaoti e te varua te mea fofu arua I roto I te. E nei roto I te whanhor a e tūhi atu. Pehora tara varua I a ohipa e ia whaite mei te mea hohonu e veira I roto I te ria tāta. I tāna horoara.
We encouraged the mission center leaders to talk with their mission center and congregations about looking at what they have and structuring them a way to accomplish mission.
Te tei whiruri a I tūhia, te praparau a I mo whea whaatere o te pūmitioni, e hare roat oi roto I te mo amuira. E hamau, te varua horo oi wainei, e nenher ai arato, I horo. Iau I te pua I te ira o te nenher ai horo.
Congregations would be asked to look at what they have and do they have excess or unused capacity that they might want to contribute and pool with all the other congregations and mission centers into a Seeds of Hope fund to fund new missional projects.
Te vaisor ahia tra wheruri ai roto I te mo amuir a tāta I tai. I te hior a, mi pau waira taratou tu amoni I whātaa. E te hior a rātou e te rawera, I te tei wherurira. E whea mau, te puai o taratou e nenhe e tū. Iau taratou whaotira, e te varua e wainei I roto I rātou.
We encourage them to be creative.
Wa tua tohia tra wherurira, te ama I roto I rātou, I te wherurira mai, ma te ore whahepo I roto I te ria huru I tera. Waisho I rātou, nā rātou e.
Some areas we're considering selling assets, which is okay, but we also ask them to consider it's not just selling an asset, but sometimes using that asset to generate income could also be a valuable opportunity.
I roto I tā rātou whaotira ai rawe mai. Te wherurira rātou I toe wherurira a pāri, I au tā rātou opuara e hio rātou I te mea tano roa ai. Iau hoai tō rātou orara e te mea mau. Te mea mau e vai nei I roto I tō rātou pūai. Nen he rātou e tauturu, e horoa. I roto I te whanhora a api, te vai nei.
So the instructions we gave was to be creative and discern and pray together what your congregation or mission center might do.
Te whiruri amuir a, tō tātou mō amuir a tātai tei, I roto I te tei āparau mai te a, e ha mau whanhora a e tia, ia pahono, I roto I te nei opuar a te ao tau te rero.
One of the realities of the community of Christ over the past 2 decades is that the contributions from world mission tithes has been on a decline.
E roto I te tuatapapar a, I tuatapapahia mai, roto I te mō pahonor a te roto I te tāretia tātoa nei, e wo I te hia te topar a o te pahonor a I roto I te haurura, e te topanoara te rero. Tamei ai te nei taime nei.
And the church has to live within its resources, and so you have seen a series of cuts in programs and staffing from the World Church.
E wai te tātou I te mō whanhor ai rawahia, roto I te mō rau e huipa, te mō whanhor ai tua tapapahia, mō rau e huipa, wai ra te baheohia, wai te tātou I te ria tārer amai, e no te mea, te parau no te whauwha ai te hoa e tae wa haurein I te tei whaito, e nenhe ai, e pahono I te mōhia ai e waine roto I te whāterera.
The decline is leveling off somewhat.
E te waine te tra topara a, mua mauri o nei te teite menei.
But there is not a forecast for an increase.
Ai tiara I te hia te marao ahaura, ai tia te ria, ai tia pa I te hia atura te maraara, te ura te vai noa.
In our field, we felt that mission is so important. Let us explore other ways to fund mission.
Me nā ria, te tei whiruri ai o, I tei ai roto I te motua, pū tāwinir ai, roto ai te aratai rā, te tei mo apo te toro, I te whiruri ai, te tei mo whanhor a api, ia whahohonuhia, ia tuatapapahia.
To fund mission, you must have sustainable funding that is dependable from year to year.
E tera, ia imihia te tei mo pahonor a, I tera parau no te whauwha, no te mea rawera hei mataiti harahia mai, e wa topano ona, e te topano ara, e wa maura I te teime, me tia ia whirurihia, ia itehia mai te tei mo whanhora api, no te paturur ai te rira whanhora.
And restructuring assets provides a more sustainable source of funding because it's not based on contributions, it's based on returns on investment.
E te tia ia parahinoa I hui tera, tia turira ae, wharainoa I te mau ahurura, ara mau o, mi roto mai I te mau merora, me tia ia drawe I te tei mau whirurira api, e tū I te whauwha, are rai whiruri te tei mau whanhora whahotu. Whahotu I te whauwha, e nenhe, e pāturu I te tei no ananai.
And so the seed of hope was planted.
Te whanhora I whiruri hia mai, no tātou, no te ie tua tāminir ai waine.
So the 5 mission centers of Pacific Asia field were invited to begin the process of discernment and discovery, as were the congregations and mission centers in South Central Asia and West and Central Africa.
E pā pū tāwinir a I roto I te mō tua, te mō apo te toro, I roto I te whirurir a no te iene I tua, waira o Atia, Australia, Porinetia, o tra mō moturi o Patifita, e te tua no Filipino, tra mō pū tāwinira, mō pū mition.
No jurisdiction was given a target amount to accomplish.
Aita e whanhora a whahepora ai roto I te. Ti rotora rato I te tei whirurira.
Why? Because if you have a target, you're not giving to your true capacity.
No te mea, aite e whahepora a, e whahohia rai roto I whaotira a te ria mitioni, a te ria pū, a te ria tua tawenira. Nā rātou whaotira, e horo o mai.
Only you and your congregations and you together as a mission center can determine what your capacity is in French Polynesia.
O tau, mō whea tere. E tēnō atu o tau, tō te mitioni nei e tō o tau mō amuira. Nā o tau e whaoti mai I te wahei tā o tau nenhe e tauturu mai.
Given the right information, you will discern and know what is best for you and your needs and what opportunities you have in terms of investing in the future with Seeds of Hope.
Tia o tau, te itera I te hia e wai nei roto I tō o tau mō amuira. Roto I anei tō o tau pūmitioni. E nā o tau ai e nenhe ai e whaoti mai I te pahonora e au I tā o tau e nenhe pahono mai.
The Seeds of Hope, in some way, came in and swallowed up the Bridge of Hope.
Tara tuhoa o te huero no te tiaituru. Whare mai ona no te whair ai roto I mōti tara tuhoa I harahia mai. No te parau no te tiaituru, e aturu o te tiaituru. Ti roto tātou I te ine, I tara wherurira no te ine huero no te tiaituru.
And after it has swallowed it up, it will release first to the Bridge of Hope.
Ti roto o nei tara, e te imahana, ia help ai ana ia matara mai. Yeah?
And after the bucket of Bridge of Hope is filled, that which flows over and beyond becomes our opportunity, the seed that we have planted in the Seeds of Hope.
E nā roto I tara whirurira ai matara mai roto I tara. Ninhe ai tātou e horo ai te tei turu a api, whirurira a api, I roto I te opuara no te e huero, no te te eituru.
We had no idea what the outcome would be.
Aita mātou I whiruri, aita tō e whirurira ai tā mai, e hā mau te vaira e te mea e whāmai, I roto I te motai morene.
But the deadline we were given at the World Conference of 2019 is that on December 31st, 2023, the Bridge of Hope would be concluded.
Mi te au hoa tā tātou I te, wā tere mai parau no te e aturu no te tiaituru. E wā tāmei ona I te nei mataiti, wōti tōna para, wō opani tōna para I te tēne. E te hare nei, te e whirurira no te huero no te tiaituru.
And as announced by the presiding bishopric at that conference, if we did not fill the bucket, then they would borrow from our assets to complete our obligation.
Te ie, no te pāturura I te mautua, pahonor ai roto I te mohi ai e wai nei, I roto I tō te ao ato nei, roto I e tera tua teito I harahia mai, pahonor a tātou I te rera, wōti, e te ie te mene, ti roto tātou I te tei whirurira nā whea tātou I te hiora amai.
A few months ago, we did not know what the final result would be.
E te teino awa e mairi, wā ai te mātou ai te pāpūroa, wā whiruri mai rai te teimo whanahora.
But regardless of the outcome, we felt that the journey we take in this process is being faithful to the call to demonstrate and live out generosity.
I roto rai te mōmea I whirurihia mai. Wa I te hia te tei varua puai e nenhe e matara mai I roto I ta o tau mō tua e nenhe pāturu mai. O tau, te mō mitioni, e te mō amuir ane, I te hia ra te tei varua e nenhe pāturu, e nenhe I te hia te tei whanor anu ananai. Ia ho era.
Generosity is not the output. Generosity is the experience and the journey.
Te prau no te aau mahora, te horoara. E ene noa I te hoe varua noa e rawe oe, hoe whanhor ai, ne neno o e rau e horo anoa mitera. E tere tei I roto I tō e orara a whaaro, o tō e nuna nei, tō e tata nei, e tere nā roto I te tiaturi. E roto I tra tiaturi a, waira trawarua. Trawarua horo. Trawarua mahora hora.
Regardless of the outcome, if we have been faithful to the discernment and sharing together and exploring what we have and what we can give, then we have been successful.
Horo ara tātou. Te ora ara tātou I roto I tra warua o tā tātou I te. Te hare rā mai whānoa I tātou I te moha mai teira a te atu. E roto I te I tere hare nei. E ha mau tā tātou pahonora. I roto I te I te rā no te I.
Because of COVID, the French Poly Mission Center was at a disadvantage and fell behind in our time frame.
Wa tupu te tei whanhorai hawhiwhi prau no te tere rā o whauwha I roto I te I tupu I hone e COVID e roto I te I wheruri rā no te I wo whaateimehi te prau no te wheruri rā I hoi te I opuara o waitura tātou roto I te teitei.
When I say fell behind, you fell behind the deadline given to us by the presiding bishop for Bridge of Hope, but not behind the deadline for Seeds of Hope.
E te ria whiruri rā, wo titauhi e whānau I te prau no te pahonora. Iha e whānau, wo taupupuri te prau no te pahonora I tra e aturu no te tātātou I tere mai nei. Te iera no te huero o te tiaituru, aita tōna e hawhiwhira.
You will have the opportunity to engage in this process according to your time frame.
E whānor ara tēnei he I te hia, mi te pau. E rau e tātou I te tei whaotira e pahondo tātou I te.
I'm here to announce tonight that there will be no borrowing from congregations and mission centers.
Te e au e horo atu nei te e whanhora, ma te ore e whahepo ia o tō roto I te nei tuamitioni no tātou. Aita trawarua I roto, nā roa I pāpū mai te tātou.
Even without what will come from French Polynesia, the participants in the other jurisdictions, we have met our responsibility.
E voi te au I te warua hohonu e vairei roto I o tō ta o tō ohipa. Te ohipa tamini a tātai tei ta o tō e orane. E te huru e te whaito o ta o tō ohipa tamini.
We have not only met, we have exceeded our responsibility.
Ai te noa mātou I whāroa re I te noa. Wa I te rohia hohonu rā o te ria huru waru e vairei roto I oto. Ta o tō tua o hipi. Whanhora a ta o tō I ora noa mai.
We don't know yet the final results because you still need time for you to go through the experience.
E waria rea te teiti aturi ae, ia ora o tō I te ie, e whanhora a api, e nenhe hoe whanhora a nenhe whanao, I roto I te tau, ia ora ra, I roto I te.
The Seeds of Hope has become a fund and is a reality now.
Te ie, te prau no te huero te tiaituru, e mea mau te te. E tupu hoa. Whanahohi ona, e tupu rā ona.
The seed has broken through the soil and is now beginning to bloom.
Woti, wo tanuhia, e whā ona. Te rā e o te o mai ona, e whaura mai ona, e hare ona ni tona waira.
The Seeds of Hope Fund is an investment portfolio using endowment principles to provide sustainable support for missional projects into the future.
O puar a, te roto I te tei, wheruri a, no te mo tai morine. E te ria o puara na e whanhohia ona, na tātou e proprau, e bua te aturi mātou e, nen he tauturu. Tauturu a I te tātou ara ai roto I te o puara.
The purpose of the fund is to support missional projects, primarily, we think, within our own fields, but the members of the mission centers felt, do not limit us to just our own fields. Allow us to select projects that will benefit the church anywhere, in any field.
Te whao te tua huero no te tiai turu, te whanhora ai te teimo fōwha, roto I te horo a, e no te hare ai e pāturu, I te teimo opuar a mitinarera. I roto I te mo I te autei, e te rira rātua, e I te hia, tihia mau te pai, te rira ti ai. Te a tāpa ohi atara, ti o mau, hare e pāturu I te ria tua.
And this decision was because of the faith of West Central Africa, who reminded us it's not just about us, it's about Christ's mission, which means it's about all of the church.
Ni traia warua at mo tua Afrita I whaatupu. Te a ei tūno mātou I tamatou, ei te mātou hara me whaanho, te tiaturi nei mātou na o tau, e whaanho no tātou. Trawarua o tahi, e trawarua au tahi, tā I te hia I roto I te e whanhora. Nā te au tahi rā, e whaatupu I te tauturu, I te wahi te rera tia ai, e nā tra whanhora a, e nenhe hare tauturu, I te wahi te rera mau tia ai.
The Seeds of Hope Fund will be directed by a board of directors consisting of 14 members.
Whaterehia te e whanhora a, e ahuru mapiti, ahuru mamaha whia, I roto I tēnei tomite.
5 of those members will be the mission center presidents of the mission centers of the Pacific Asia field.
E pēpere te tini, no te mau pūmitioni no patifita atia.
Whoever your mission center president is will be a member of the board.
E mori roto I a rātou, e whia whātere roto I tēnei tomite.
In addition, each of the 5 mission centers will select a person from the mission center to also serve on the board.
E ohia e pētia, mi roto mai hoa I te rā mō mitioni, no patifita atia, o rātou atoa te anihia, mō tino te e anihia ia whao mai roto I te nei tomite wheruri, whaora whātere I te nei tua.
And each mission center is allowed to decide on their own how and who they might choose.
E whaatitohia e piti tia, mi roto mai e te hipa te e tua atia ropua, vaenga.
The South Central Asia Mission Field, which has 8 mission centers, will only have 2 representatives.
E piti tia, tra e piti tia I mi roto mai te e tua no atia centrala, Asia centrala.
We thought if all the mission centers of that field also served on the board, it would be dominated by Indians.
E te e nātia, mi roto mai e te e tua no atia, no ini tiama.
And it's not that Indians are bad, it's just that it would be a bit overwhelming.
E ne te oe mō whia, poriro rātou e te e no minuhia, ia o mai roto I te e whanahora.
And so the apostle for South Central Asia, in consultation with his field team, will select 2 representatives from the South Central Asia Mission Field to serve on the board.
E anira e whanhora te e whirurihia, nā te e mō apo te toro, te nominor ai te teino ti au ahaua, ia o mai roto I te e whanhora.
And I can share with you that we intend to nominate Brother Bibek Nayak, the first Indian ordained bishop in the church, to be one of those members.
Ho e te api I whātoro ahia, no whenua initia, te riro ona e ti topo, I o tō mai ona I roto I te whanahora.
And the second member will be Sister Namrata Tamang from Nepal, who happens to be the first woman in Central Asia ever employed as a World Church minister.
Oi toa tuahine no whenua Nepal, e o to mai o nei roto, wa whanho hia o te rira, no mino hia o nei anene o nei parahit oi roto I te tomite.
And she serves as the Mission Center Financial Officer for Nepal.
E taminir o nei ni hoi te tiar a rauti te faufu a I roto I te e tua no Nepal.
And both are young adults.
E o ia toa te hara mai roto I te I.
Not an old guy like me.
Ai te tei ruau mi aura turu, e whaari he turu.
And then also the field apostle and the field bishop will serve on the board.
E waira te tei e pitopo e pahono toa upi hoi te apo te toro no te whatere ai te.
That board will determine the policies and guidelines on how the Seeds of Hope Fund will be administered.
Te mō tino I manohia e pahono I roto I tēnei tōmite, no te arataira a I te whirurira a no te huero, no te ti aitoro.
In the coming months, they will meet and generate those rules and will communicate to each of the mission centers, here is the process for applying for projects.
E roto I te mohopita mai mua nei, e parahei rato no te whirurira a I te tei mō arataira a nei, e tia I a rawahia no te whaatere. Ora whaanoho I te e parau no te e huero no te aitoro.
We are anticipating that they will have formally organized and completed that process by the end of the year so that in 2025 we can begin the first projects.
E roto I te upuara a, roto I te matahi te piti tau tini piti haru e mapa, nen he hamatahia te upuara e whaatupu. Nā roto I te e tua, e whirurihia.
The amount and number of projects depends upon the size of our investment portfolio.
E te whaatupura a I te ria mo upuara a, mi ti tauhia ia ti te pahonora a, I nen hea I whaatupu e whearahira, upuara ai mo.
And that will be determined by the capacity of our field to be able to support that.
E ti turuia o te puai e te I a o te barua horoa ta o tau e whaoti mai.
I'm excited that you have the opportunity to be engaged in the process.
Wa riro wau e whanau I te teime e te ar atu moi o tau no te wawaura ai te ne opuara a.
Not for the amount that you may contribute in the end.
E ne no tara no mai e ne ne no e tūtu I te te whanora mi turu whahe pohe o tau, mahara mai rawa nā te wharua pohora ai moi o tau.
But for the experience that you will have by participating in the process.
E mo I te hia, tau wharua, I te hia no pori ne tia nei tra wharua paturu, wharua hoe, e wharua horo.
I only have a few more years before retirement.
E, no te mea hoi e, ai te re a mataiti nei, e piti, 4 years.
A few years.
Few years. E. Ai te rea mataiti nei, e rewa au I tau tua whawhaeara. E.
And my time is fading, but there are new generations emerging.
E te aturi nei au, waira te e ui api e tamo mai nei, e nen he nā rātou e paturua I te mo opuara.
And it is a bright future.
E waira tau te aturi ai tu e whanhora a, nen he mau e nen he tupu mai.
And I know that those who will eventually be assigned to the Pacific Asia field are going to smile when they arrive here because of the seed that we have planted.
E nen he au e te aturi te tei te aturi a Papu no te mea ua tanu au te teitua roto I te I e huero I o puahia mai tanu ai te ria e horane au te uti aturi ra I roto I o tō mōtino e rawe mai te I e upuar a ananhei e te whaatupura ai te I e whanhora ai whirurihi mai.
And I imagine in the other fields where they have not attempted what we have done, they will come to us and say, if you can do that, we can do that too.
Pai da te tei mo man o mi ruto mai te tei mo mitioni parau a mai e. Ai di one he a oi trau e te rira. Ni he to e a mato e roi.
And maybe seeds of hope were going to be planted in other areas.
Pene a mi tra to huero ta oi tun, na ria to mato e tanu ai te tei mo huero a mi te ri.
It's an exciting time in the church.
Tei me ana ta mau te rira no. Piruto I te taretia. Toro ai te tei whanohora ai nene. E patu I te tei whanohora api.
In 2025, we will ordain the first woman of any religious movement to be the head of our mission.
I roto I te mataiki mua nei, piti tautini piti haru e mapa, e whātoro ahia, te hoe tuahine, e riro, e o e aratai I te taretia.
We have our challenges.
E waira te tei tautora a, I roto I te whanhora ai, roto I te ano tau tā tātou e ora nei.
And we do have our differences.
E nen he tātou e whaite I te tei, hi o a tā e ma.
But in all of that, we share a common vision.
E roto I tra tātou, horo ara tātou I te tei, hi o a, I te a tā e ma.
You chose to be in the community of Christ.
E wa mai ti oto, Yarira oto, e au tahi no te mitia.
It is my prayer that together we will make Christ's mission truly our mission.
Tau ia pure, ia nen he, te uhipa tamini a to tātou nei whatu, ui e tō mitia, ia tupu.
If you have questions or comments about Seeds of Hope, or if you need clarification, I'd be happy to try to help address them at this moment.
E ahiri waida te teu mo wid a, o re rai anid a ha mara a, no tātou te teime, wehe o te teime.
We have a third microphone.
Yes, well, I think it's there.